everyone! Thanks to all of you, I was able to reach 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I'm so grateful and I love you all. Honestly, it still doesn't feel real. I thought this would be my goal for 2025, but it happened much sooner than expected. I'll do my best to keep making even more fun content to return all the love and support you've given me. Please continue to support me. Some questions included big spoilers, so I've saved those for later. I'll reveal the original story little by little through upcoming videos, so stay tuned. I've received so many questions for the Q&A. Thank you! So I decided to group them by theme and answer them that way. Hope you enjoy it. Now, let's start the Q&A.
How often do you upload videos?
I upload videos every weekend. If you join the membership, you can watch them a few days earlier. I'll add the membership link in the description. The choice between original story content and YN series depends on current trends, how often each character appears, and overall content balance. I decide based on the situation at the time.
How long does it take to make one video? I heard you're also working as a writer for another webtoon. How do you manage to balance that with your YouTube activities?
Video production takes at least 2 days, and sometimes over a week depending on the content. It really varies based on how much I want to express in a single video. I'm also slowly preparing other projects. 1 week just isn't enough.
What tools do you use to make your videos?
I use Clip Studio for illustration, Adobe After Effects and CapCut for editing, and Typecast for text-to-speech. A lot of people have asked for a tutorial on my production process. It's something I've been thinking about for a while. I might not be able to do it right away, but I'll definitely make it someday.
Why don't you use voice actors?
Thankfully, many English-speaking subscribers have offered to do voice acting. First of all, I want to make it clear that I have no intention of using anyone's talent for free. I strongly believe voice actors should always be paid. That said, payment methods, tax issues, and a few other complications come up. And on top of that, I'm not that fluent in English. Because of this, I plan to continue using TTS for shorts. But when I start creating longer videos for the original story, I definitely want to work with professional voice actors.
What do you do when you run out of music or ideas?
I look at trends whenever I have time. I have at least 1,000 saved references, so when I run out of ideas, I go back and check them.
When and why did you start your YouTube channel?
I started this animation channel on November 16, 2023. It's been about a year and 7 months now. I originally started it to promote my webtoon, and I still can't believe we've already reached 1 million. Thank you all so much again.
Do you have any plans to create a separate comic or animation?
The webtoon already exists, but only season 1 has been released, and it's available only in Korea and Japan. I plan to share the story from the webtoon through my YouTube channel. It might take time, but I hope you'll stick with me and cheer me on. As for animation, I can't make it on my own, so I'll probably need the help of talented people.
Which video did you have the most fun making?
The Egypt trend. It was tough but fun to draw. Oh, my personal favorite?
The most difficult video to make?
Bling Bang Bang Born. I'm not an animation major, so I had to draw everything by observing frame by frame. It was so exhausting. I swore I'd never use frames like that again, but I'll probably end up making the same mistake someday.
Which video is the most memorable for you?
The Tired All the Time. It's the video I'm most grateful for because it helped me grow so quickly. At the same time, it made me wonder how a stalker like him could be so popular.
Which video gave you the biggest reality check?
It was super hard to choose. Honestly, almost every video featuring Seoul gives me a reality check. Like the Stronger video. That was the first time in my life I ever put a male character in a maid outfit. I had a reality check while looking up references, while sketching, and again, while doing the final artwork. From start to finish, it was a series of existential crises. It was painful, but once I did it, I kind of got used to it. And realizing that I got used to it, another reality check.
Where can I read the webtoon?
There's only 1 season of the webtoon. In Korea, it's available on Kakao Page and Naver series. In Japan, you can read it on most platforms. Unfortunately, it's not available in other regions, and there are no plans for an English translation. That decision is up to my former studio, so I don't have control over it. But since I'm now allowed to share the original story on YouTube, I've decided to show it through videos instead.
When will season 2 of I Am Your Guardian Angel come back?
After discussing with the studio, it has been decided that season 2 of the webtoon will not be produced. Instead, I plan to continue the story as full-length videos on YouTube. However, I'm currently working as a writer on another project, so I'll be able to fully focus on this after that wraps up. Until then, I'll be sharing parts of the story through short videos.
How long is the storyline of the webtoon?
I originally planned for around 150 to 200 episodes in the webtoon. The story was meant to start with the characters' daily lives and gradually uncover all the hidden clues in a natural, slow-paced way. But now that I've shifted to YouTube, I'm planning to change the storytelling style. I'll open with the main plot and try to speed up the development as much as possible.
Is the ending already decided?
The ending is already decided. You're curious, huh? Haha, not telling you.
What made you start creating webtoons?
I majored in design and used to work full-time designing products for others. Over time, I started wanting to create something of my own. Before leaving my last job, I briefly worked on webtoon content, and that experience made me seriously consider becoming a webtoon artist.
What made you create I Am Your Guardian Angel? Is there a reason why the story is structured this way?
The way I build stories is very calculated. I think it comes from my background in design. I start by researching the market, setting a target audience, and shaping the story to match the reader's needs. Then I add a touch of the message I want to convey. Even if it feels like you're alone in the world, your guardian angel is always there. I hope this message reaches my readers.
Did you have any inspirations for the story, editing, or other aspects?
There isn't one specific source that inspired me. Even though I'm a webtoon creator, I actually don't read a lot of webtoons. Instead, I watch a lot of Netflix, especially popular movies and dramas. I'm always curious about what made them such a hit. Interestingly, I don't watch much animation. When I watch something, I focus on the story, visuals, and direction. For me, Netflix is the best input archive.
Please tell us how you plan your stories.
Before I get into the details, I always make sure to build a solid framework first. Having a clear destination makes it so much easier to decide between different ideas. I use this method not just for planning full stories, but even for smaller episodes within a series. It works in any situation.
Which episode of your webtoon is your favorite?
The romance fantasy version of Guardian Angel. It was really tough to draw, but I had so much fun. Since it had a fairy tale concept, I filled it with all of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite episodes.
Which episode of the webtoon was the hardest to make?
That one was also from the romance fantasy version. I honestly wanted to cry when I had to draw the action scenes.
Where did you get your inspiration when creating the characters? Did you use any references?
When I was creating the character settings, I approached it completely like a designer. Honestly, it felt overwhelming. I needed a lot of references, but to find what I wanted on Pinterest, I had to know the right search terms. Since I had no background knowledge, even searching was tough. That's when I found a site called Picrew, and I used it to reference a variety of character designs.
What do the characters' names mean, and how did you decide on them?
Please consider this from a Korean naming perspective. Kang Sena. My own name is Sarah. I gave her this name with a daughter-like affection. Ge Dojun, the surname,
Ge.
was important. I chose it to reflect Dojun's werewolf traits because
Ge.
sounds like,
Ge.
which means dog in Korean, even though Dojun is actually a wolf. Johan. Johan's parents are deeply connected to Catholicism. Adding the surname Oh makes his name sound like Omyeon, which has a mysterious nuance in Korean. The intended meaning in English would be mysterious. Pak Sol. Sol was designed from the start to be a stalker character. His name is inspired by a Korean word that means to see and hear everything, implying that he watches Sena from anywhere.
The most difficult character to create or draw?
Dojun. He's still really difficult for me. I feel pressured to make sure he looks handsome, and his story is quite complex, which makes shaping his personality even harder. I'm constantly thinking about how I can bring out more of his charm.
Then, which character is the easiest and most comfortable to draw?
I actually put the same amount of effort into drawing all the characters, so it's hard to choose just one. But the easiest character to write is Ho. Since he's a character that can be a bit unhinged, it's easier to come up with content for him. That's one of the reasons why he appears so often.
Is there a character whose original setting was completely changed?
Johan. At first, he was just a supporting character for Dojun and Sena, but now he's a main character with a heavy past.
Initial character designs?
At first, there were no fantasy elements in the story. Dojun even had blonde hair back then. Johan and Seo didn't exist in the early drafts. I dug up some of my old drawings recently and almost passed out from embarrassment. I think I'll just bury them forever.
Which character did you create first?
That would be Sena and Dojun. They were the main characters of a draft I worked on before Guardian Angel.
Who is your favorite character?
Really love all of them, but Senna is the one I feel most attached to. I truly hope she overcomes all the hardships she's still going through. I am rooting for you, Senna.
Which character is the closest to your real ideal type in terms of appearance?
At first, it was Dojin, or at least I thought so. When I was creating the characters, I had no idea what my type was. It took me 2 years of drawing this comic to finally figure it out. So if I had to choose now from the 3 characters, I think black-haired Dojin and Seowoo are probably the closest to my real type.
Which character do you, as the author, find the most heartbreaking?
It's Johan. All the characters have sad pasts, but Johan is currently blaming himself. I really hope the day comes soon when he can enjoy an ordinary life.
Which character has the personality most similar to yours?
Johan. We even have the same MBTI ENFJ. Even though I'm an F, I'm actually pretty rational. So I'm kind of close to T as well. Johan turned out to be the most similar to me, and I realized it later and thought it was really interesting.
If you could meet only one of the 4 characters in real life, who would it be? And if you had something to say to them, what would it be?
So, stop stalking Senna, you jerk.
If you met each of the characters in real life, what kind of impression do you think they'd give?
Cute little things. I'm gonna eat them all up.
If you could go on a date with one of them, who would it be?
Dojin. I feel like it would be fun to tease him. Oh wow, saying that really makes me sound like Johan.
Are you thinking about adding a new character?
Not at the moment. I'm way too busy to try something new right now. I think I'll only be able to really work on it after I finish the project I'm currently collaborating on.
What does CeraVe mean?
It comes from the French phrase, c'est la vie. It carries both the meaning of, yeah, that's life. And life's just like that. But in the case of my name, CeraVe, it's the former. Like, oh, CeraVe.
Are you thinking about creating any fan characters?
Since the character was created with the idea that YN represents all of you, I think it's totally fine to treat them as YN.
Please give us a fan nickname.
Back when I used to run a fan cafe, the fan name was Naribi. If you have any other good ideas, feel free to share. Since I have a lot of international fans now, I'm also considering an English name.
Are you thinking about creating a Discord server or a fan cafe?
I've thought about it a lot, but since I have subscribers who speak many different languages, I'm honestly worried about whether I can manage it properly. Maybe once I have a bit more time, I'll consider opening one. Now that I've hit 1 million, the community tab has been unlocked for subscribers too. So for now, please feel free to use that space a lot.
Do you have any plans for things like going live, revealing your face, holding events with fans, or creating emojis?
I'll take my time and think about it slowly.
When did you start drawing?
When I was young, I spent some time with friends who like to draw. I just wanted to hang out with them, so I started copying their drawings next to them. Other than that, I didn't really draw comics. But later, when I was preparing for college entrance exams as a design major, I attended an art academy for about a year. That helped me improve a lot. I started learning comic-related skills around 6 years ago. I can't believe it's already been 6 years. Time really flies.
How did you practice drawing?
While working on webtoon drafts, I felt like I didn't have enough time for things like croquis. So instead, once every month or two, I pick something I really want to draw and create an illustration with the highest quality I can manage. Even if it's just once in a while, I can really feel my skills improving when I do that.
How did you get through slumps or tough times?
I think my slumps come from feeling like I'm not good enough at drawing. When I feel like my skills are lacking, I just have to work harder. So I draw illustrations.
Have you ever made an animation?
Back in high school, I once made a 30-second short animation. But it was so rough that I'm not even sure it deserves to be called an animation. Other than that, I don't have any animation experience except for what I've done on this YouTube channel.
Please introduce your animation team.
I handle the entire process by myself. I hope the channel grows big enough someday for me to build a team.
Is your wrist doing okay?
To be honest, my wrist isn't in great shape. It's been about 2 years since I started going to the hospital because of it. It's gotten a lot better, but it doesn't seem like it'll ever be fully healed. I think of it as a lifelong companion I've grown oddly attached to. Still, I was able to recover this much thanks to my sister, who's a nurse. Thank you so much, sis.
Are you good at English and Japanese?
Not really. I rely a lot on translation tools.
How do you create your own characters?
I highly recommend using Picrew, which I mentioned earlier. Rather than copying a character directly, try referencing different styles to create your own unique character. It's really fun to see your original character gradually take shape.
What do you like?
I love Anoko and Momonga from Chiikawa. Come take a look at my desk.
What's your favorite clothing style?
My favorite is actually the style I'm wearing right now. Maybe you could call it black sheer. I really love dressing characters like this, but it's also the kind of style I personally like. I often put Senna in outfits like this.
Do you have any favorite songs or idols?
Only listen to J-pop. There are so many songs I love. I can't possibly choose just one, so I'll share some of my favorite artists instead.
What's your favorite dessert?
Strawberry shortcake, please.
What's your favorite flower?
I love any flower that's purple. But if I had to choose just one, it would be wisteria. I love how it blooms in clusters and completely transforms the atmosphere.
Who is your favorite character from Demon Slayer?
Uzi Tengen. I love good-looking characters.
Pouring the sauce versus dipping it. Which do you prefer?
Definitely dipping. I don't even know what food we're talking about, but it has to stay crispy.
What about food that isn't supposed to be crispy?
Totally dipping.
Your goal in life?
My goal is to bring a smile or inspiration to even just one person through my drawings. When I see comments saying my videos had a positive impact, it makes me happy too. You are the driving force behind my life. Thank you always.
How are you so good at drawing? Why do you make your characters so damn hot? Why are you so cute? How is it that both your characters and you are this adorable?
Thank you for all the compliments, confessions, and even proposals. You're mine now. If you try to run, I'll chase you to the ends of the earth. So be ready. I've added a variety of merch to the store, like keyrings, photo cards, postcards, and more. There are lots of items available beyond what you see in the YouTube store, so come take a look. Next up, the 4 characters will be coming to answer the Q&A. I might post a shorts video first to keep the content balanced. Please keep enjoying it from here on out. Love you all!